My name is Robin Loud, and I grew up in the Clipper Ship restaurant. I was 4 years old when my dad built it in 1946. My dad was from Boston, worked for Pan American Airlines in New York and Miami. And in 1946, they built the restaurant and named it Clipper Ship after the Pan American flying clipper ships. And he owned it for 20 years, and then I bought it from him and owned it for 19 years. And my brother Bill bought an interest in it 4 or 5 years before we sold it, in 85, I think. But when he built it in 1946, there were only 2 other restaurants in Murrells Inlet. Charlie White's restaurant and a restaurant called Loki's, where the Hot Fish Club is now. And then all the other restaurants started coming out. Lee's Inlet Kitchen came about, I think it was in 48, 2 years later. And Oliver's Lodge was a boarding house at the time. And my mother was related to about a third of the restaurants in Murrells Inlet, Oliver's Lodge, different ones.
Tell me about the Vereens.
Pardon?
The Vereens.
Well, my mother had 1 brother and 4 sisters, and her dad gave each one of them 100 acres all around the entrance to Garden City and going down to Garden City. And a couple of them sold it early on, and the others were all turned into mobile home parks, and it still exists and still operating.
Can you tell me about the sport fishing out of Murrells Inlet?
Well, it was, I don't remember what year it started, way back, but Captain Alex Ing had one of the first big offshore head boats, I guess you'd call it, that would go to the Gulf Stream. And then there was many other boats, head boats, there's a whole list of them. And then small charter boats came about. We didn't get a lot of inshore charters. Had 2 or 3 people that chartered. Wallace Lee, after he sold his restaurant, was an inshore boat captain. Was very successful with it.
And your experience sport fishing?
I got into marlin fishing early on, and I won the Georgetown tournament in 1975 with a 430-pound marlin. And of course, there's been a lot bigger ones since then. And I've been to Gulf Stream a lot of times.
The Gulf Stream Marina.
Gulf Stream Marina. I don't remember the date. It was early 70s, but I call it the second marlin caught out of Murrells Inlet. It's 216 pounds. And most of the boats out of the Gulf Stream were fishing for king mackerel. And they can go out there and just load the boat with king mackerel.
What was your favorite part of living in the inlet?
Just the water. I enjoyed the water. You know, I always had a boat. I'm not going to tell you how old it was when I got my first boat, because you'd think bad of my parents for getting an outboard motorboat at 8 years old. I'll go ahead and tell you.
So you were an original creek rat.
Yeah, yes. And I hadn't thought of it that way, but I was out there early. And the only place you could get gas for the boat was that there was a marina, not a marina, just a tackle shop right where Drunken Jack's is. And the bank, you could launch your boat there. You don't hear that phone, do you? This is Bill Hickman. He was sort of a hermit. It worked out of the creek. Sold oysters and clams and shrimp. And right along there is where there was a Sam Barwick's tackle shop, and I would come in there with my boat to get gas, and he had 4 or 5 glass-gallon jugs with the gas and oil for 30 cents. And I'd get me a gallon of gas and go right around for another hour or 2.
Thank you for this interview.